Limpadora Revela o Segredo da Bilionário. Nunca Assine Isso. Aconteceu Noite. The night was electric, humming with dark energy. Shadows twisted under flickering streetlights as Lucy stepped into the alley where the moon dared not shine. She had heard whispers, barely audible, about what lay ahead. People said $1 billion secret lingered in the night air, wrapped in layers of intrigue and danger. It pulled her in, made her heart race. Curiosity nipped at her heels, but a chill ran down her spine. Something was terribly wrong as she navigated through the narrow path. The temperature dropped. An unshakable feeling slithered over her skin, prickling as if the atmosphere itself screamed warnings she couldn't quite decipher. The alley smelled of dampness and something metallic, pungent, that hinted at stories better left untold. Then came the first hint of vague outline at the alley's end, flickering under the pale light. A cryptic figure wrapped in a trench coat. The figure paused, head tilted like it caught a scent only it could smell. Lucy's breath caught in her throat. What could it want? When she dared to take a step closer, the figure turned, revealing dark circles under cold eyes that seemed to swallow the light. "You shouldn't be here," it rasped, its voice like gravel crunching underfoot. The hairs on Lucy's arms stood straight up. Had her instincts failed her? She glanced back. The alley seemed to close in, shadows whispering secrets between them. But she couldn't turn back now. She had come too far. Suddenly, a booming crash echoed from behind, sending a flock of pigeons startled into the air. A sound that felt like fate tipping her off balance. "Get back!" the figure shouted, but she couldn't move, frozen by an unseen force fueling the chaos around her. Silence returned, momentarily, but the atmosphere thrummed with a pulse as instincts flared within her. Fear mixed with determination to uncover the truth. What had this person seen? What kind of secret could send shivers down their spine like that? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just as the tension reached its peak, the ground shook with the faintest tremor. All at once, the figure sprang forward, flinging something small in her direction, a piece of paper. "Don't sign it," it hissed, urgency lacing every syllable. "They'll come for you. They're always watching." Lucy caught the paper, her heart racing. It unfolded in her hands, revealing a contract, its words pulsating, glimmering with danger. The ink seemed alive, twisting as if trying to reveal a truth she couldn't grasp. The alley felt darker, air thicker. What secret lingered here? What forces were at play that would threaten her life? With the paper clutched tightly, she looked up, but the figure was gone, vanished like a ghost into the night. A sense of urgency wrapped around her like chains. The clock was ticking, and soon she knew time would run out. What would happen if she didn't follow the only lead she had? The answers lay just beyond her reach. In the heart of the darkness she now found herself entangled in. Curiosity gnawed at her, and in the inky blackness, Lucy took the first step toward not just the truth, but also an unforeseen danger lurking just around the corner. The night deepened, shrouding Lucy in a thick veil of uncertainty. She had the contract crumpled tightly in one palm, its weight pressing against her like a warning. A shiver danced down her spine, not from the chill in the air, but from the primal instinct that whispered she was no longer alone. With a quick glance over her shoulder, she turned to exit the alley, but something moved in the shadows, a flicker of motion that sent her heart racing anew. "Think, Lucy, think," she muttered under her breath, each word more urgent than the last. Where could she go? Who could she trust? The contract felt like a living thing in her grasp, reeking of danger she couldn't fully comprehend but wanted to escape from. With her senses heightened, she emerged onto a quieter street, where the far-off sound of traffic buzzed like white noise. Her eyes darted around, searching for any sign of the figure who had vanished. She needed answers, now more than ever, and this contract seemed like a portal into a world teeming with secrets. But what kind of world was it? And would stepping into it ensnare her further? As she walked, absorbing every detail, her mind raced. There must be someone who could decipher the cryptic scrawl on the paper. A friend, a coworker, anyone with expertise in legalities. The office was too far, and the shadows still lurked behind her. The word unsafe reverberated in her mind like a drumbeat, a clarion call to precaution. Suddenly, a distant honking pierced the silence, snapping her back to reality. She turned her head, desperate to spot an opportunity to escape. A nearby cafe flickered with warm light, its sign swinging slightly in the wind. She could retreat there, at least momentarily, until she figured out her next move. Pushing through the entrance, she felt the warmth envelop her, contrasting sharply with the chill outside. The room buzzed with hushed conversation and the comforting aroma of coffee. But as she scanned the faces around her, unease crept in again. Were they just patrons, or were some of them watching her too? Lucy made her way to a corner table, sliding into a seat. She focused on the contract, the words shimmering under the fluorescent light above. What does it mean? Who are they? She whispered softly, her fingers tracing the letters as if they held the key to her survival. Just then, the door swung open, a gust of wind rushing in with an abruptness that made her jump. A figure stepped inside, silhouetted against the night, scanning the room with a hunger that made Lucy's blood run cold. It was a woman, short hair cropped close to the scalp, with piercing blue eyes and a look that spoke of hard truths. Lucy felt a pull, as if she was being drawn into an orbit of danger she hadn't signed up for. The woman approached her table. "You have something that belongs to me," she said, her voice low but intense, laced with authority. Lucy's heartbeat thundered in her ears. "And if you don't give it back, you could be the next headline." Lucy's mind raced. The woman must know about the contract, about the figure in the alley. But how? "I don't know what you're talking about," Lucy bluffed. But the woman's lips curved into a knowing grin. "Want to play games?" she challenged, leaning in closer, her breath cold against Lucy's cheek. "Because I assure you, at this level, you really can't afford to lose." Her stomach knotted at the implications, and the world outside blurred into insignificance. What had she stumbled into? And would she survive to uncover the truth? With every second slipping away, the stakes were rising. "Be careful what you wish for," Lucy the woman warned, her voice barely a whisper as she leaned back, a predatory gleam in her eye. "The secrets are more dangerous than any of us can imagine." As the chill of her words settled deep within, Lucy realized the truth, like the contract, unfolded in layers, each more dangerous than the last. Could she navigate this tangled web of deceit? Or would she find herself caught in a trap of her own making? Just then, her phone buzzed, flashing a message that could change everything. "Meet me where the shadows fall." Midnight. The clock was ticking, and time was running out. Did she dare to follow? Lucy's heart pounded like a drum in her chest. The message flashed across her screen, and she felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. Where the shadows fall, what did that even mean? She glanced back at the woman, whose eyes had narrowed with curiosity, seemingly gauging Lucy's response. "Who sent you?" she demanded, trying to sound more confident than she felt. The woman's smile widened, revealing a hint of mischief. "Why, that's for you to find out," she replied, her tone dripping with mockery. "Maybe it's your lucky night, or maybe it's your last." The threat hung in the air, heavy and tangible. Lucy shifted in her seat, suddenly aware of the buzzing cafe around her. Heads turned ever so slightly, whispers floated through the air, and she could almost feel eyes boring into her back. She was the center of attention, and it was suffocating. "Let us not make a scene." The woman leaned in again, lowering her voice just above a whisper. "Meet me outside in 5 minutes. We can make this easy, or we can make this hell." Lucy's mind raced like an engine ready to explode. Was she really considering this? A part of her screamed to run, to bolt out the door and not look back. But that message, the ominous timing of it, everything was intertwining into a puzzle she had to solve. "Okay, I'll be there," she forced herself to say, though her throat felt constricted. "Good choice," the woman said, straightening up. "Remember, Lucy, sometimes it's the devil you don't know that bites the hardest." The woman turned and glided towards the exit, her silhouette slipping into the night as easily as smoke. Lucy was left staring at the empty doorway, a knot twisted in her stomach. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was becoming real, and with every heartbeat, it grew more intense. Taking a breath, Lucy shot up from her table, and despite the pulsing fear within, she blended into the crowd, exiting the cafe through the back where the shadows danced with life. The cold air outside hit her like a slap, waking her senses. She stepped away from the lights spilling from the cafe, plunging into the darkened alley she had just escaped from. Breathe. Just breathe. A wave of panic surged as she realized the silence that enveloped her. Everything felt wrong, and yet she moved forward, clutching the contract so tightly in her hand it crumpled further. Then a voice cut through the stillness, low and familiar, sending a shiver down her spine. You made the right choice, but did you think about the consequences? It was a figure lurking just beyond the reach of the dim streetlight. His face emerged from the darkness, and Lucy recognized him from earlier, the same man who had cornered her in the alley. What do you want from me? She demanded, her heart racing again, an instinctual fear flooding her senses. Not what I want, he corrected, taking a slow step toward her. It's what you have that I need. And if you want to give it up willingly, let us just say there are other ways to play, and I'm very good at games. Lucy's breath hitched as he closed the gap, each step echoing in her mind like a countdown. The shadows pressed in further, pooling around her like an impending storm. Run, a distant thought whispered in her head. But where? She was trapped between this man and the dark unknown of the alley, and the bidding war for her safety had just begun. With a sudden decision, she turned and sprinted down the alley, her pulse racing. The echoes of her footfalls mingled with the shadows chasing behind her. The game was on, and she was ready to break every rule. But just as she rounded the corner, another figure emerged from the darkness. Lucy stumbled, eyes wide as two men advanced on her. She was cornered. What now? She thought, panic threatening to swallow her whole. Just as they reached for her, Lucy spotted a glint of metal in the streetlight. The contract. She launched for it, ready to fight back, but time was no longer a luxury. In this game of shadows, Lucy had a choice to make. Fight, or run headlong into the unknown where the real danger lurked. As the pieces clicked into place, the uncertain path stretched before her. What had she awakened beneath the surface? And now, with nowhere to hide, would she find the strength to stand firm? The night rippled with secrets yet to be uncovered, and their shadows danced seductively as Lucy braced herself. What awaited her at midnight? The men loomed before her, eyes glinting with an intensity that chilled Lucy to the bone. She pressed her back against the damp brick wall, her breath hitching in her throat. Which one of you has it? One of them growled, frustration leaking into his voice. Hand it over now, and maybe we can make this easy for you. Lucy's mind was racing. They wanted the contract. It was the anchor of her tangled fate, but it felt heavy in her palm, almost burning against her skin. She couldn't let it go. Not now. Get away from me, she shouted, her voice cracking. Her body trembled, not from fear alone, but a growing determination. With a quick glance to her right, she calculated her options. A narrow gap between two dumpsters leading into darkness before they could advance. She bolted toward that escape route, adrenaline fueling her limbs. Her feet hit the ground hard, echoing in the night as she slipped between the dumpsters. After her, one of the men barked, their footsteps pounding behind her. She had seconds to turn the tables. She ducked into the colossal shadows cast by a flickering streetlight. Every instinct in her screamed to hide and remain silent, but she forced herself to keep moving. The alley twisted and turned, a maze of desperation. She had been here before, but this time it was different. The darkness felt oppressive. Each corner she rounded heightened her anxiety. Suddenly, she saw a door slightly ajar ahead. The faint glow emitting from inside seemed like a lifeline. Heart pounding, she raced toward it, pushing the door wide open and diving inside as it creaked shut behind her. The space was cramped, littered with crates and covered in a thick layer of dust. She pressed her back against the door, heart thumping erratically. She could hear their voices outside, drawing closer, but she clamped down on panic. Lucy needed a plan, and right now, she had to listen. Where did she go? Yelled the other man. She couldn't have gotten far. Search every corner. Their frustration was palpable, blending anger with urgency. Lucy peered through a crack between two crates, and saw their shadows moving like restless phantoms. "Don't let her get away again. We can't fail this time," said the one with the dangerous glint in his eyes. Lucy's breath quickened, the fear almost suffocating. She had slipped from danger, but from where? There was no telling if they had an exit planned or if they would return with even more force. What if they found her? What would they do? She turned to the darkened interior, trying to navigate the clutter silently. In the dimness, she spotted something metallic under a crate. Leaning closer, she breathed a sigh of relief as she recognized it: a wrench. Gripping it tightly, determination surged within her. If they found her, she needed to have something, anything that could give her an edge. It was a terrible weapon, but it wasn't about fear anymore. It was about survival. Outside, the men were losing patience. The door shuddered as one of them slammed against it. "Stay calm, Lucy," she whispered to herself, the words silencing the commotion in her mind. "You're strong." She crouched low, holding the wrench close to her chest. Listening intently, her heart thudded in time with the relentless beat of footfalls echoing outside. As the door rattled again, she clenched her jaw, preparing for the confrontation. But just then, the buzz of her phone sliced through the tension. The message blinked on the screen, its timing cruelly ironic. "Meet me where the shadows fall." It felt like destiny, too preordained to be coincidences. Suddenly, the door burst open, and the room was flooded with light, silhouettes spilling inside. Lucy braced herself, clutching the wrench as uncertainty pierced through her eye. In the back of her mind, doubt nagged: was she ready for what lay ahead? Did she truly understand the gravity of what she was stepping into? But before she could process her next move, one of the men swept through and locked onto her gaze. A smirk crossed his lips as he stepped forward. "Looks like we found our little mouse. Time to play." The world was spiraling out of control, and as Lucy stood, she realized this was only the beginning. With the shadows rising around her, could she ever truly escape? Just then, another figure emerged in the doorway, obscured by the light, an unexpected twist that could change everything. "Let her go," the voice commanded. And in that instant, the air crackled with tension, and a new game was about to begin. Would it be a rescue or a trap? The play had shifted, and Lucy was no longer sure who to trust. The figure stepped further into the dim light, revealing a tall silhouette with a confident stance. He was an enigma shrouded in shadows, but Lucy could see a sharp suit that seemed too put together for this grimy back alley. A flicker of hope ignited in her chest, but doubt quickly followed. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice shaky but defiant. "Does it matter? What matters is that you're in trouble, and I can help you," he said, glancing between her and the men who had cornered her. A quick calculation flashed across his face before he continued, "But you have to trust me." Trust? The word tasted bitter on her tongue. Trust in a stranger was a luxury she could barely afford. The men were still gathering themselves, their attention shifting between the newcomer and Lucy. "Trust is your best option right now," he replied, drawing closer, menace draping off the men like a shroud of toxic air. "They want something you have, and I can help you keep it if you're willing to act fast." The smirk from the man who had locked onto her gaze faltered and was replaced by a scowl. "You don't want to get involved, buddy. Let her go, and maybe we'll let you walk out of here." But the stranger didn't flinch. "I'd rather risk my neck for her than let you do whatever you intend. Do you really think you can force her to give you what you want? She is stronger than you think." In that moment, Lucy's gut twisted with a mix of mistrust and yearning. Could he really help her? Or was this just another setup? Yet right now, every second counted, and those men were ready to pounce. "Lucy, listen to me," the stranger continued, stepping toward her with purpose. "There's a secret they don't want leaked. It's bigger than you can imagine. You hold a key to something powerful. I promise, if you're with me, we can expose it." The thought of a secret lingered in her mind like a flickering light. "What do you mean?" Her voice softened against the chaos, the weight of curiosity surprising her. Before he could answer, an angry shout sliced through the room. "Enough chatter. She's ours." One of the men lunged forward, eyes wild with desperation. "Run!" the stranger shouted, and Lucy reacted without thinking. She dashed behind the crates, heart racing with fear and confusion, wrench still clutched tightly in her hand. The sound of footsteps thundered behind her, chaos exploding as they broke into action. Get her! Another man bellowed, but the stranger shifted to block them, standing firm like a wall against an approaching storm. For a split second, Lucy watched as the stranger grabbed a crate and flipped it over, scattering debris in the air. The men skidded to a halt, their confidence crushed by the unexpected defensive maneuver. She seized her chance, sprinting toward a narrow passage at the back of the room, one she knew from memory. "Don't stop!" the stranger shouted, his back now against the advancing crowd as he prepared to defend her. Lucy felt a flicker of determination spark within her. For the first time since everything began, there was a possibility of escape. As she dashed through the passage, her pulse raced not just with fear, but with the exhilarating thrill of the unknown. Was this stranger truly on her side, or was he leading her into more danger? With every footfall echoing behind her, Lucy braced herself for whatever lay ahead. This was only the beginning, and the stakes were higher than she could comprehend. But as she emerged into another dark alley, breaths heaving, the shadows whispered secrets of their own. And then she heard a soft tremor in the darkness. "Lucy," a voice called out, chilling her to the bone. "You shouldn't have run. Now you've got no idea who's really watching." And as those words lingered in the air, uncertainty clawed at her heart. What tangled web had she just stepped into? Who was truly after her? Lucy's breath was ragged. Goosebumps prickled her skin as she spun around, searching for the source of that voice. The shadows closed in around her, thick like fog, suffocating and unyielding. A silhouette materialized, half hidden against the wall, a figure she didn't recognize but felt an undeniable chill radiate from. "Who are you?" she gasped, the wrench in her hand clenching like a lifeline. "Someone who knows more than I should," the voice replied, dripping with an unsettling calmness. "And someone who knows you just put yourself in serious danger." With every passing second, paranoia twisted in her gut. The stranger, a supposed ally, rushed behind her like a storm cloud, and here she was, trapped between enemies and mysteries. "What do you mean? Who was that man?" "Let us call him a collector," the figure said, stepping out of the shadows. A young woman, her dark hair framed her face, stark against the alley's murkiness. "He collects debts, secrets, and people who know too much." Lucy's heart dropped. Dealing with collectors sounded novel only in horror movies. She could barely process this new reality, let alone the idea that she'd crossed paths with someone dangerous. "What do they want from me?" she demanded, defiance sparking through her fear. "Something precious. Something you may not even realize you have." "You're on the radar now, Lucy," the woman warned, her eyes narrowing. "And the longer you stay out here, the deeper it gets." It hit her like a slap. The secret, the very thing that had drawn attention to her life. She had brushed against an unseen world, one that spun wildly with its own rules. "But I don't know anything," she exclaimed, panic rising. "I'm just me." "That's exactly the problem," the woman replied, urgency filling her tone. "Come on, we need to move." Before Lucy could process this whirlwind, the sound of heavy footsteps thudded down the alley. She instinctively turned, her pulse roaring in her ears. "Where is she?" A man's voice barked from the darkness, rough and aggressive. The stranger grabbed Lucy's arm. "This way," she hissed, pulling her without hesitation. They ran deeper into the maze of alleyways, the scent of damp concrete and trash mixing with the adrenaline coursing through Lucy's veins. "Why are you helping me?" Lucy panted, struggling to keep up as they darted around a corner. "What's in it for you?" "I have my reasons," the woman replied, glancing over her shoulder. "Trust comes later. Survival comes first." The ominous echo of footsteps faded a bit, but Lucy could feel the tension thicken like smoke. It was only a momentary reprieve. They hustled past darkened windows, glancing around as if the shadows themselves were watching. And then the woman abruptly halted, causing Lucy to stumble slightly. "Here," she whispered, pulling open a door that led into a cramped, dimly lit shop. It smelled of musty books and whispered secrets. "What is this place?" Lucy asked, scanning the cluttered shelves lined with strange artifacts and fading photos. "Where you get answers," the woman replied, urgency still sharp in her voice. "But you have to trust me, and you have to be ready. What I'm about to show you will change everything." Lucy nodded, heart racing. She knew she was already too deep in to turn back. The woman reached into her pocket and pulled out a weathered notebook. its pages crammed with writing. "This," she said, "belongs to a billionaire whose life spiraled into shadows. And it holds the key to understanding your own situation." "But why should I care about some billionaire?" Lucy shot back, doubt creeping into her thoughts again. "Because his secrets are entwined with yours," the woman replied, her eyes wide with intensity. "And you need to know the truth before it's too late." Lucy felt the weight of the notebook slide into her shaking hands. As she stared at it, a shiver ran down her spine. What would she uncover when she opened this door to another world? Just then, a loud crash echoed outside, shattering the tense silence. Fear snaked through Lucy again. "Someone's here," the woman hissed, tension stringing between them. Without waiting for another moment, Lucy felt her instincts scream. "What are we going to do?" The woman's eyes shone with determination. "We run or fight. You get to choose." And as they stood there, the door behind them creaked ominously, announcing the presence of someone who would either shatter the truth or bury it forever. What awaited them? This was the moment of decision, the path that would change both their lives forever. Lucy barely had a moment to breathe as her heart hammered in her chest, drowning out every rational thought. The woman's urgency was palpable. "We need to decide. Now." "What do you mean, run or fight?" Lucy asked, running her trembling fingers along the worn cover of the notebook. It felt almost alive, pulsing with hidden energy. "Those footsteps belong to a collector," the woman said emphatically, her dark eyes piercing into Lucy's soul. "If he gets his hands on you, well, let us just say it won't end well. But if we fight, we might buy some time." Lucy's mind raced. Could she actually face whoever was out there? She darted a glance toward the door, ears straining for more sounds. Crisp air invaded her lungs, bringing an awareness of everything: the slight hiss of her breath, the distant rumble of traffic, even the smell of dust coating the air. "I don't want to fight," she barely whispered, her voice wavering. "What if we run?" "Running puts a target on your back," the woman urged, her gaze fierce. "But if you think that's what you want, I'll follow your lead. Just know that if we take that route, it's only a matter of time before they catch us." The weight of the decision hung heavily around them, thick as the shadows, uncertainty swirling like a tempest. Lucy's hands tightened around the notebook. Would the secrets within it give her the strength she desperately needed? Before she could respond, a loud bang jolted her senses. The door rattled under a powerful knock, the sound reverberating through the room. Panic surged within Lucy. The figure she had seen earlier was now a palpable threat, an impending storm ready to descend. "Okay," Lucy said, her voice more confident. "Let us fight. I won't let them take me without a fight." "Smart choice," the woman replied, her lips twitching into a thin grin. She reached behind the counter and pulled out a small, sturdy crossbow, its wooden frame glinting in the dim light. "Stay close and follow my lead. We can leverage this place to our advantage." "What about that?" Lucy pointed to a heavy iron rod leaning against the wall. It oozed raw power. "Arm yourself." The woman nodded, her focus sharpening. "You'll need all the strength you can muster." Lucy seized the rod, feeling the weight settle comfortably in her grip. It felt like a promise, the promise of strength, of defiance. Whatever kind of threat was waiting outside, she wasn't going to face it unprepared. The door creaked again, this time with a low growl. "We know you're in there, Lucy," a low voice taunted from the other side, smooth, yet laced with menace. "You can't hide forever." Lucy's breath caught in her throat. How did they know her name? "Get ready," the woman whispered, knocking a bolt into the crossbow. "We're not alone, and they'll stop at nothing to get what they want." With a loud crack, the door burst open, splintering wood flying through the air. Lucy swung the rod, adrenaline coursing through her veins. In that moment, she was a warrior, fierce and unyielding. The figure that stepped through was silhouetted against the dim light, an ominous presence shrouded in darkness. It was him, the collector, a twisted smile curling his lips as he stepped inside. "Ah, Lucy," he said, his voice silky smooth. "I see you've made some new friends." He surveyed the room, dark eyes scanning for a weakness. "Time's up," the woman shot, readying her weapon, tension coiling around them like a snake. "You will not take her. Then we'll do this the hard way," he replied, his smile broadening, revealing teeth that seemed too sharp for comfort. Lucy steadied herself, heart racing, eyes locked on the menace in front of her. This was the moment where everything shifted. "Let us see how well you can fight back," he taunted, stepping forward. Just then, the floor beneath them rumbled ominously, as if the building itself was warning them of the approaching chaos. And as the walls seemed to close in, Lucy knew there would be no turning back from this moment. What were the secrets in the notebook that they were willing to kill for? The fight had just begun, but at what cost? The moment the collector stepped into the room, tension hung thick as fog. Lucy's grip tightened around the iron rod, the cold metal steadying her. She could feel the woman's defiance beside her, a coiled spring ready to strike. Tension snapped like a twig when the collector's smile widened, the room pulsing with a sense of impending doom. "You're a fool to think you can fight me," he sneered, eyes glinting with danger. "You're outnumbered, outmatched, and you have no idea what you're up against." With a sudden motion, he raised his hand, palm outward. Dark shadows began to seep from his fingers, swirling ominously in the air around them. Lucy's heart lurched. This wasn't just some menacing man. He had power beyond her comprehension. "Stop!" the woman yelled, firing a bolt from the crossbow. It sliced through the shadows with a piercing whistle, striking him squarely in the shoulder. A ghastly scream erupted, followed by an unnatural laugh that made Lucy's skin crawl. The shadow pulsed and convulsed, swallowing the bolt like it was nothing. "You think a simple arrow can hurt me? I'm a collector of souls, girl. You have no idea the depths of my power." The air crackled with electricity as he shifted, the shadows becoming tendrils that flared and flickered. Lucy felt her stomach twist. Her resolve faltered, and fear clawed at her. But in the depths of that fear, she felt something else, a flicker of indignation. She wouldn't let him take her. "Lucy," the woman urged, voice fierce as it cut through the haze of terror blanketing the room. "Focus. Remember what you have. The notebook, it can't just be a journal. There are secrets in there, something that could change everything." Lucy glanced at the notebook, resting heavily on the counter. Was it possible? Her fingers brushed its cover, and the pulsing energy surged through her, igniting a fire of determination. "Give me the notebook." The collector barked, his grin morphing into a snarl. "You have no idea how valuable it is to me." "No," Lucy shouted, the word exploding from her lips with fierce clarity. She wasn't giving in. Not now. Not ever. Channeling her fear into strength, she hurled the iron rod at him with all her might. It struck the wall beside him instead of him directly, a mere distraction as Lucy dove for the notebook. Her hands closed around it, and a rush of warmth seeped into her fingers, igniting a sense of purpose. With her heart racing, Lucy opened the notebook. In an instant, the symbols and sketches came alive before her eyes, swirling and glowing with energy. "What are you doing?" The woman gasped, eyes wide in disbelief. I think I can use it," Lucy responded, her voice resonating with newfound power. The collector's expression flickered with irritation and dread, but he wasn't finished. He summoned shadows around him, the darkness thickening as if it had a life of its own. "You're making a grave mistake." Lucy swallowed hard, fear mingling with hope. The symbols on the pages seemed to whisper into her mind, revealing grips of ancient power she had never known. She could feel the energy swirling around her, a protective shield materializing from the notebook's secrets. "Stay back," she cried, feeling a surge of magic coursing through her. The shadows recoiled, hissed like a cornered animal. "Foolish child," the collector yelled, his voice seething. "Do you really think you can control the power of the past? It will consume you." Before Lucy could respond, the room erupted into chaos. Shadows surged forward, but before they could reach her or the woman, a brilliant light burst from the pages of the notebook, illuminating everything around them. Blinding, radiant, it echoed with strength, pushing back the darkness encroaching upon them. As Lucy felt the energy growing within her, she realized this was only the beginning of a relentless battle. Would she be able to harness the secrets within the notebook? And could they truly defeat a collector of souls? Her heart thundered as the collector staggered, shocked and vulnerable for the first time. But just as the first glimmer of triumph sparked within Lucy, the world around them quaked again, deeper this time, a crack in the reality they knew. Could they hold their ground, or would the shadows reclaim their power? The air crackled with uncertainty. The storm is gathering, and Lucy knew the fight had only just begun. But who would emerge unscathed when the battle truly began? The light pulsated like a heartbeat, spilling over everything and casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. Lucy could barely breathe. It felt as if the room itself was aware of the battle raging between her and the Collector. A battle not just for survival, but for the very essence of what defined them both. Lucy, the woman's voice cut through the chaos, urgent and sharp. You have to focus. Use the light. Lucy nodded, her resolve strengthening. The notebook throbbed in her hands, its pages warmed by the radiance around her. What do I do? She shouted, her voice barely rising above the swirling noise, doubt creeping in. The Collector's eyes flickered with a mix of fury and desperation. You have no control over this. He barked, shadows closing in as he fought back against the light. You will regret this, child. Regret will be your only companion. Suddenly, Lucy felt the symbols on the page pull at her, urging her to speak them aloud. The energy surged, and a firm command rose unbidden to her lips. By the light of the past, reveal the truth. Almost instantly, the shadows shrieked, recoiling from her words. It was as if the darkness itself had been struck, splintering under the force of a power it couldn't comprehend. The Collector staggered, his confidence faltering. But he quickly regained his footing, glaring at her like an animal cornered. It won't end like this. He roared, flinging his hands forward. The shadows convulsed, crackling with malevolence as they lunged towards Lucy, promises of despair swirling within the dark. But with each word she spoke from the notebook, the light reached into her soul. She could feel generations of knowledge pouring through her, imbued with the weight of ancient warriors and wise scholars. Shatter the darkness. Illuminate the depths. The air ignited around her. Golden beams erupted like fireworks, tearing through the shadows, blasting them into wisps of nothingness. But something else happened. Pieces of the past began to emerge, ghostly figures swirling in the light, warriors and protectors, echoing through time to stand with her. The Collector's face twisted in disbelief, sweat glistening on his brow. He had been so sure of his dominance. You're just a girl. You cannot command what you do not understand. But Lucy did understand. She could feel their strength. I understand more than you know. This power belongs to those who dare to fight for the light. She unleashed another phrase, sending another wave of brightness crashing against him. The shadows screamed, frantically seeking shelter, but the light pressed forward, an unyielding tide ready to obliterate the encroaching darkness. But just then, a crack echoed through the room as the walls shifted violently, splintering under the strain of the clash. The figures surrounding Lucy wavered, their forms dissolving into the haze as the room buckled. Hold strong, Lucy, the woman cried, her crossbow still ready, eyes darting between the Collector and the chaos spiraling around them. Stay with the light. Lucy felt herself beginning to falter. Doubts clawed at the edges of her resolve. What if she couldn't do this? What if the Collector was right? In that moment of wavering, the shadows lunged again, faster than she could react, engulfing the light in a suffocating darkness, dragging her back to the brink of despair. No, she screamed, heart racing as if it might burst from her chest. I want to let you take it away. With one fierce motion, she slammed the notebook shut, the sound echoing through the darkness like a gunshot. A wave of energy surged from within her, a defiant roar pushing back against the encroaching void. But the ground beneath them cracked again, this time sending a fissure through the floor, revealing an abyss that seemed to breathe the essence of darkness itself. What have you done? The Collector snarled, eyes wide with rage, but Lucy didn't have time to answer. The shadows enveloped her, whispering promises of surrender, luring her into the depths of fear. She felt herself being pulled, the energy waning as fear wrapped around her. Stay with me. Don't let go. The woman's voice rang out, clear and firm through the chaos, but the ground was slipping. As the shadows threatened to claim her, Lucy closed her eyes, her heart racing, with one last flicker of hope burning within her. Could she find a way to reclaim the light before it was too late? Would she be forced to confront the darkness lurking in her own spirit? Lucy gasped as the shadows tightened their grip, tugging her further into the abyss. Despair threatened to swallow her completely, but she remembered the light, the warmth it had brought. It flickered in her memory, pushing through the darkness like a beacon. Focus, the woman's voice urged, pulling Lucy back from the brink. The urgency in her tone sparked something deep within. Drawing a shaky breath, Lucy opened her eyes and tightened her grip on the notebook. The pages glowed faintly, its secrets buzzing with energy. "I want to give up," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. With a sudden rush, she felt the light begin to swell within her, an incandescent fire ready to burst forward. "By the light of all that is good, I command you to retreat." The words poured out with conviction, filling the air with an electrifying force. The shadows recoiled as if stung, wailing in agony. The collector staggered back, his confidence shattered. "No, you cannot wield that power," he screeched, desperation clawing at his voice. But Lucy felt emboldened. Something had shifted. "I can, and I will." Desperate and fierce, she positioned herself with the notebook held high, channeling every ounce of strength she possessed. "Stand down. This is my light. This is my destiny." The room quaked, and the blinding light erupted from the pages in a glorious explosion. It surged outwards, a wave of brilliance vibrant against the inky darkness. Shadows peeled away, dissipating like mist as Lucy's power swept through them, obliterating their hold. The collector's face transformed from arrogance to pure terror, his figure wavering as he tried to maintain his form. "You think you can win? You'll never escape my shadow," he bellowed. But each word grew fainter as the light consumed the darkness around him. With one final push, Lucy thrust the notebook forward. "Let the truth be known." The moment those words left her mouth, streams of light surged faster, engulfing the collector completely. The shadows screamed, swirling chaotically before being sucked into the illuminating glow, and then silence. An intense, radiant silence enveloped the room, and for a moment, it felt as if time had stilled. Lucy stood at the epicenter, her heart racing as the light began to dim. She scanned the area, breathless, dazed, reveling in the absence of the darkness that had threatened to consume her. Did we win?" she gasped, looking at the woman beside her. The woman's eyes sparkled with pride and relief. "You did it, Lucy. You tapped into something incredible. The secret's in that notebook. It holds power. Yes, but it's within you that the true light resides." A smile broke through the tension, and the knot in Lucy's stomach released. She had faced the shadows and emerged victorious. But then, a low rumble echoed ominously from the fissure in the ground where the darkness had seeped. The walls shuddered, trembling under pressure, and Lucy's heart sank. "Shouldn't we leave?" "Not yet," the woman said, moving towards the crack. "Whatever that thing is, it can't be allowed to linger." With newfound resolve, Lucy followed, adrenaline pumping through her as the world around her trembled, a final battle yet to be won. Together, they took a stand against the remnants of what could have been her fate. And then, in an extraordinary display of unity and strength, Lucy focused on the light within her once more. She poured everything, the fear, the determination, the desire for truth, into her voice. "This ends now." A lancing beam erupted from her, striking the fissure and erupting into energy that cascaded around them. The darkness wailed, thrashing as the light consumed it entirely, sealing the breach. With a blinding flash, the remnants vanished, and the ground settled into an eerie calm. Lucy stood panting, trembling but alive, her eyes shining with possibilities she had never comprehended before. "What now?" she breathed, looking at the woman beside her. "Now." The woman smiled, excitement glimmering in her eyes. "Now we uncover the truth together and protect what's left." With an invigorating sense of purpose, Lucy nodded. The darkness had taught her fear, but also courage, a combination of fire she would no longer hide. As they stepped under the newly lit sky, a dawn breaking through the chaos they had faced, Lucy felt a sense of hope. The fight was far from over, but together they could uncover the secrets buried in shadows, with light illuminating their path. This was her beginning, and she was ready for whatever came next. And now, dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel. You don't want to miss the next exclusive stories that blow your mind. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this amazing community. Let us hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this finale. Together, we'll conquer new stories, and your support makes all the difference.